culture never been about the facts. Slept through school like the squatters in the flats out. Story after story, can't believe that we here. Story after story, can't believe that we here. Story after story, can't believe that we here.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another Progress Interviews. Today we're joined by Franklin Armstrong in the lovely city of Birmingham, in the middle of a park. And yeah, we're just going to chat about his music, the Birmingham scene a bit, and just whatever else kind of comes up. So we'll see how it goes. You recently released your latest single, Windows, featuring B Manix and produced by Gumsoul.
Yeah.
Both amazing Birmingham MCs and producers in their own right. How did that song come about? Like, what was your creative process behind it? Did Gumsoul just kind of send you a beat and it happened naturally, or was it communication between you three?
Yeah, I think it was either a case of he sent me a batch of beats and that was one that stood out, or he might have, like, sometimes he'll post a tune on his gram, and I think he might have said, oh, who would sound good on this? And I think someone tagged me and I was like, yeah, this shit's hard, isn't it? So I was like, I'm feeling it. But then the process of making the tune was, I think I'd written my verse or whatever, recorded it, sat with it for a little while because I was unsure whether it was like, does this need a second verse from me, or would somebody else sound better on it? And then I kind of thought, actually, like, Manix would sound hard on this. Sent it him. I think he come back a couple of days later with the verse, and yeah, it was hard. And so I was like, we'll get this mixed and then we'll get it out. But I've had the tunes. Really, the tunes meant to come out probably like end of last year, but a couple of little things to polish up. So it was like, oh, delay it and then and just come out. Which is a good look though, innit? Because it's like the most Birmingham song you could possibly get in it, in terms of like who's a part of the creative process of it, innit? So yeah.
So let's just talk about Birmingham straight off. So like I said before to you, I've been in and around the scene for like about a year or two now, just kind of observing and just learning a lot about the people in it. So you were born here, I'm guessing. You're Birmingham born and bred.
Nah, so I was born in Leicester, innit? And then probably when I was about maybe 2 or so, that's when I moved here, and then literally spent the rest of pretty much the whole of my life here, innit?
So how would you kind of describe the scene as it is at the very current moment to like somebody who might not know anything about Birmingham?
In terms of like what they'll call urban music, like obviously Birmingham's always been big on the grime, and so that's always probably the main thing. Obviously you got like your JKs and like your Lady Leishas and obviously Mist. Obviously debatable whether you could probably call them grime or whatever and that, but like they're the big things that you probably say in Birmingham. In terms of what I do, that kind of bit more hip hop sound, what people want to call alternative or lo-fi or whatever for him. Like it's cool. Obviously there's the little hub, like you've been to Mystic and stuff like that, innit? So there's the little hubs where people link up.
Shout out Mystic.
Yeah, of course. There's those little hubs where people meet up and whatnot. Obviously it's good for networking and stuff. I just feel like sometimes, and obviously there's loads of talent in Birmingham. I feel like the only issue that holds us back sometimes is probably like lack of infrastructure, if anything like that. You know, like obviously we've got radio and stuff like that and other little things here and there, but not in the abundance of, say, if you went to like other major UK cities, like obviously London, you go Manchester, even go like Bristol, places like that. They got their own things going on in it. I just feel like with more infrastructure, I feel like it'll be a bigger platform to showcase all the quote-unquote underground talent and stuff like that in it. So yeah, that's how I do.
So like the biggest thing you'd say for the Birmingham scene is like infrastructure. Would you also kind of group financial investment in that? Do you think that sort of plays a significant role into the success of a scene?
Yeah, definitely.
Or is it more just kind of like, if the people are there, the money doesn't really matter?
It's a bit of both, innit? Because obviously majority of the stuff we do is like for them, like me, Dylan, and anybody else who are like frequent collaborators. It's pretty much all DIY, innit? Like there's no budgets and that. It's record it at yard, mix it at yard. If you want to do a video, we got to figure that out too, innit? So it's very DIY. Obviously, if we had the budgets, obviously that would take it to definitely probably take it to another level. people still support though, which is a positive, which means they believe in it regardless, which is always nice, isn't it? So, yeah, definitely investment. That would definitely help, because then we'd be able to like increase the quality of visuals, maybe audio, sound, and that. But yeah, it's just about obtaining that. Obviously, we'd be having those conversations privately about what we want to do, where we want to take it. But yeah, it's just getting it done more than anything. Getting the financial backing from someone who actually believes in what you're trying to do, innit? Basically, yeah, you don't just want to partner up with anybody who's just like, you want them to believe in what you're doing, innit? So head east out of the city centre.
Do you see, like, the cities you mentioned, like London, Manchester, Bristol, do you see those as kind of more admirable places to be as an artist or as a creative? Or
for me personally, no, innit? Because my whole thing has always been like, for me, it's not about getting a seat at the table, and like I want to bring my own table and seats, and you know, like that. But obviously, London's always going to be desirable because it's just. It's like, especially compared to up here in terms of like how many people live there, opportunities and that. Obviously, it's got that appeal, innit? And yeah, everywhere else, everywhere else, it's just more like they've established their own scenes, innit? Whether that be like from, like, for example, Manchester. What's Manchester famous for? Like Oasis, like Hacienda. Like they've got like a what's the word for it? Like they've got their own music scene, lineage, culture. They've got that already, and like you got Bristol, you got like Massive Attack, things like that. And then obviously London's London. Birmingham, obviously we've got artists, like I mentioned at the start. You know, we got Sabbath and that, you know, big names like that. But I just feel like I don't know. I feel like we really need we need to kind of zoom in really on building up our own culture to kind of stand with those other cities. You know, like that. I feel like. Even a place like Liverpool, you look at, you know, Beatles, Abbey Road, but like, people know this. If you talk about music, people know the music from the city. I just think we need to do that on a wider scope. Obviously, we've always been smashing it with grime. That's from day one. I'll always say that. But we just need to expand the boundaries a bit and kind of redefine identity, something like that. I'd say probably, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah. So, going back to some of your frequent collaborators, like you mentioned Dylan, obviously, but also like Jaden Clover and other artists as well. How long have you known them for? Like, did you meet them, and how did you meet them? Yeah.
So Dylan was through Soundcloud. That was like, what year are we talking? Because I'm a few years older than Dylan, innit? So when I first met him, like, I remember we was having to show up to gigs early, innit, so he could get into the venue, without having to go through all of the bouncer bullshit and whatever and that. So that was just through SoundCloud. Literally, he just hit me up, and I was like, heard the beats. I think first time we met was at a skit event at Sunflower Lounge, and then literally just from there, like we've literally been cool, like even outside of music, like we're friends, innit? Like it's just one of those things. I just pick up the vibe, the wavelength. With Jaden, Jaden probably tell his story about her messaging me on SoundCloud and not getting a response in it. That's the local famous story, innit? So, but that wasn't anything personal or anything like that. That was purely just like a timing thing. Like where I was with my sound at that time, like it's like yeah, we could work, but I didn't feel like my sound was at a point where we could have, but it would have been forced, you know what I mean? Like it needs to vibe. I didn't feel like my sound was in a place to accommodate what she does. And I mean, if you see what she's doing now, she's absolutely killing it, innit? So, but yeah, literally just SoundCloud, innit? Yeah. When SoundCloud was good, that's where I pretty much met most music people that I work with. Just literally SoundCloud community, innit?
Yeah, so how long have you been on SoundCloud? Because I went back through your catalogue on SoundCloud a few days ago, and you had like stuff from like 3 years ago and stuff. But have you been on that like before, since you started posting? Or?
Yeah, been on there before. I think probably been on SoundCloud probably since what year? Like 2016. I feel like that's the first time I really uploaded something like quote unquote serious, innit? And what was that actually? That's when I did an EP with producer, one of my childhood friends, Gruff, when we did an EP called East. Yeah, if it was on SoundCloud those days, you know about them vibes, innit? But yeah, I'd probably say 2016 is when we really started doing it. Obviously, consistency each year varies, innit? But I'd probably say 2016 is probably when we really got into the SoundCloud.
And how would you say it's changed?
What, SoundCloud?
Yeah, the platform. Or at all if it hasn't.
They fucked up, innit? Like, like literally, like they. Obviously, I don't know. Obviously, behind the scenes, what was business working or whatever, and that. But to me, it was like, well, this is like a billion pound idea on a plate for you here. Like, for where SoundCloud messed up for me is obviously, like, the meat and gravy of their business model for me was flipping user generated content. Because I was never going on SoundCloud to listen to like Drake or, you know, big time artists. It was to literally to find other DIY artists like myself in it. So I feel like they should have put their stock in that, but for whatever reason it seems like they kind of got strong-armed into competing with like Spotify and stuff, and it was like,
I remember that time. Yeah, they just announced like, oh yeah, by the way, we've got a Go Plus. It's like, you can now listen to Go exclusive songs from major labels. It's like, no, this is not why people use SoundCloud
Exactly.
Do you not know your own audience?
It
was such a strange move.
That's my whole thing, innit? That's my whole thing, because it was like literally, you've got all the, especially at that point in time, because I remember it was like that big boom, and everybody was like, oh, independent music, artists, we don't need labels no more, all of this and all of that. And I thought, yeah, this is cool. Like, I thought all SoundCloud got to do now is figure out what they want to do with selling ads, and they can partner with artists they consider to probably be generating ad revenue in it. But instead, they just almost felt like they sold out the user base a little bit, innit? Like, and then and then it was kind of like, because it kind of almost kind of alienated the user base. So the players you would have been getting, you don't get them no more. So then it was kind of like everyone's migrated over to Spotify, and reluctantly I made the move, because originally I was like, nah, fuck that. I was like, the amount of streams I'm gonna get, money wise, it ain't gonna be worth my time. But then obviously you have to kind of step outside of yourself and kind of view it from a consumer's eyes, innit? Like, if a consumer sees your stuff on all streaming services, in their eyes it almost gives you a bit of legitimacy, innit? So it was like, we played the game a bit, innit? So kind of just migrated to the Spotify, Apple Music, and that's where we're at now, innit?
Do you think there's still that sort of independent DIY mentality in like these sort of times? Do you think that's still a strong sort of idea?
Yeah,
or is it kind of like just gone to the side of it?
I think it's there, but it's in varying degrees. Like someone like me, like I'm super hardcore on the independence, DIY, like creative control, and obviously sometimes that's probably to my detriment, getting my own way in it, because I'm so hard-headed and know what my mission is and where I want to take things in it. But really, I think it all depends on what works for you personally. For me, I always think independence always going to be the best route. If you're telling me I can have full control and I can be in charge of my destiny, and in terms of from a financial point of view, I'm going to be, let's say, the biggest benefactor. It's not going to be like, oh, you know, you spent all this time making an album and now, yeah, here's your 5%. It's like, wait, what? But yeah, I mean, it all depends, innit? Like, it depends what your situation is. Like, for some people, independent suits them. For other people, you know, like, go in the actual, let me jump into the industry, let me try and secure all the stuff I need to secure to get onto that kind of platform. It's just, I guess it's just what suits you and what you're comfortable with, really.
Yeah, I suppose you could do like a mix of both, like have a moment where you're with a label signed and you have them help you financially, and then once you develop your own sound, you can just be like, okay, I don't need them more.
Only reason I want label backing, whether that's like independent major or whatever, is mainly just for video budget, like we were talking about earlier. Like, I want to, because trust me, we're doing up mad storyboards for like videos, but obviously when you've just got the Canon and limited resources, you've got to kind of improvise in it, so it's a bit like, but yeah,
A bit like this.
yeah. But with some of that label money, like, yo, we can make the movies we want to make, and I'm not even talking. We don't need like some extraordinary budget. Just a little bit here and there, and we'll be able to pull off whatever we want to pull off, really. So,
yeah, no, that would definitely help. And I think that would also speak to kind of elevating the legitimacy of the Birmingham scene a bit. I know there is like a group of people that really appreciate this DIY independent culture, but realistically it's only a small amount of people, and if you're trying to take this thing a bit more seriously, you need to broaden your audience as much as you can.
I agree with that.
How has lockdown kind of affected you, from a musically perspective, and also kind of maybe mentally, if at all?
From like a creative musical standpoint, been amazing, to be fair, because
Really?
because I had furlough, and then even after furlough, I've just literally been like working from home the entire time. So, well,
Right.
hopefully my job though is have been doing work, you know. But yeah, like, just giving me more time to just be like way more creative and get a lot more done. As in, sometimes it'd be like, if we're gonna release a tune, the mix won't be done before 2 weeks before we submit it to distributors, whatever, in it. Whereas now it's giving me the position where it's like, all right, I got singles ready to go for the next couple of months. I got EPs ready to go for the next couple of months. So, if anything, it's just giving more preparation. From a mental standpoint, it's kind of like, it's two halves. For me, like yeah, I am a social person, innit, but my preference a lot of the time would be indoors, probably a bit solitary, innit. So it's been good for that, but then obviously there's been no balance to that. So sometimes it can be like, wow, like, I need to get out. I'm literally just, especially when you're in the creative process, like I'm just literally just living in my own bubble, like. It's like, yeah, like I'm living in my own head, I'm living in my own space, and it's like, let me go out and smell the fresh air for a bit. I'm just like, it's getting too wrapped up in the creativity sometimes. So it's bittersweet, and it gift and a curse a bit.
Yeah. Did you find the third? I think this is the third one. The third lockdown harder than the first, or kind of both equally? The same.
The third lockdown, it's not that the third lockdown's been necessarily hard. It's boring, man. You know, like that. I'm just a bit bored of it. Like the first lockdown, it wasn't. Obviously, it was new, so it was a bit like, well, this is mad.
Sort of novelty around it.
Yeah, so it was kind of just rolling with it. Then the second lockdown came, and it was, I don't know, he was kind of like, kind of used to this at this point. And then the third one, it just feels like it's dragged a bit, innit? And obviously, because it's like, especially from an inspiration perspective, I kind of can't wait to get back out, kind of be back in the mix, just kind of exchange energy, speak to people, just get a bit more inspired again, innit? Because don't want the music to start sounding too same. We don't want like whole EPs where it's just about, I'm sitting in my yard, like, you know, like that. Like, need to mix it up, innit? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Keep it fresh.
Need an inspiration, yeah, definitely. Okay, going back to Birmingham for a bit. What's your very favourite places in Birmingham? Just to kind of hang out, or?
I mean, it's gonna sound so predictable for me to say, but Digbeth really, and that's mainly where I spend a lot of my like social time, whether that be at the pub or even just at, like, for example, like, shout out Benny Culture, innit? Like, obviously when they was open, they're cool anyway, always showing them from very early. And obviously when they put on their little art exhibits and stuff, like, always a good vibe, something different as well, because you're going to meet new people and you're going to probably see some art you probably wouldn't have taken the time out to usually go and see. So there's that, mainly Digbeth. That's where all the pubs I like to go to are. Most of my friends hang out there as well. Outside of Digbeth, maybe back near in my area, but obviously all the pubs in my area like dives in it. So it's you know what kind of vibes, like £2 10 pints and all of that in it.
One of them ones, yeah. There's a lot of financial investment in Digbeth, especially recently. Do you think that's going to have a net positive or net negative effect on sort of the independent scene and just kind of the sort of people that are there after this sort of investment is done?
Bit of both. From a positive sense, obviously all the investment and the buildings are doing, obviously it's going to look nice. Obviously that should hopefully increase like the footfall for all the independent businesses in the area, like in custard factory and stuff like that. So obviously that's a positive. Can never look down on that. My only concerns would be down to, you know, you don't want somewhere to lose its personality, what makes it what it is, innit? Because with Birmingham, obviously all the redevelopment that's going on, obviously it's sick to see, innit? Like, it is nice to see the city progressing, kind of catching up, getting in the 21st century, innit? But you just don't want the city to lose its character, innit? At the end of the day, like, it's all good and well letting all these developers from out of town come in and rip it apart to build it new, but you still got to make sure that the city keeps like its heart and its personality, what makes it the city, in my opinion, innit? And what makes it the city is the people here, innit? So I don't feel like you can forget about the people that are here, because without the people here, do you really even have a city, really? Like, is Digbeth, like, yeah, Digbeth as an area is cool, but if the Birmingham people don't show up to go there and have a good time there and invest their money there, is it still Digbeth, you know, like that? So yeah, with anything in it, positive and negative.
Yeah, for sure. After lockdown, where are you gonna go?
This has been the conversation, yeah, since literally starting it.
So a year ago.
Where am I gonna go? I probably sound like a proper geezer, but I'm going to the pub, innit? That's going to be the first place to go. Obviously, first choice would probably be the Old Crown, but they're talking about got to pay to book tables, and
oh really?
I'm thinking like, nah, I'm not. Like, as much as I love the pub, I'm not paying for a seat. Like, I'm not paying for a seat. We had a joke saying it was just in there buying the drinks, keeping the lights on anyway. Like, so we should get in for free, but obviously, nah. But the pub. First few weeks after lockdown, if you want to come see me, I'll probably be at Dead Wax. I think that's going to be the motive.
Right.
Decent little pub, innit? So.
Anywhere international? Obviously not after this lockdown, but like in a year or two, maybe.
I hope so. Because I was meant to go to Malta like last summer, but obviously got cancelled, which was a wonder. But international wise, hopefully somewhere hot where there's loud music, preferably of a more housey kind of vibe. That's what I want. That's what I want. I feel like I've missed out on a whole year of, because I don't really go out like that as much anymore. But the option not being there is what makes it tough. It's like, now I at least want the option. So yeah, we'll see what happens international wise. Probably won't be anywhere too far. Probably just somewhere Europe.
Yeah, what sort of music are you listening to at the moment then? What's on your playlist? What's on your...
It varies, you know. This last week, like I'm a fan of the XX, innit? So for whatever reason this week, I've just randomly been listening to their catalogue front to back, just kind of reacquainting myself, getting back in that kind of them teenage angsty feels and that, and then like yeah, I think that's been the vibe the last couple of days. I've been feeling more of a like more of a singy vibe recently. I feel like I went through a bit of a period where I was, it's gonna say, my surprise, people listening to so much drill music, so much drill music. But I was just kind of, I don't know, my temperament feels to just a bit relaxed more. I just want to hear more dulcet tones, bit more.
Some nice chords.
Yeah, a bit less, I'm gonna do this when I see you, and a bit more, oh, I'm heartbroken, you know, a bit like that. Just switch up the vibe a little bit, but just kind of depends what kind of mood I'm in. But I listen to anything as long as it's good. I'm here for anything really.
Can we hear Franklin Armstrong on a house beat? Is that gonna happen at all?
Maybe not. You know what, like, because I know what house I like and what I like to hear on house. I don't think I'd do that because
Okay.
if I don't really like hearing people rap on house. Maybe funky house gives you a blind in it, but if it's like any other kind of house, I don't necessarily want to hear. Even though there was a demo of me on a jungly kind of vibe song that never saw the light of day. I think the lyrics might have been used on a different tune in it, but no, me rapping on house, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I tried anyway.
What is that? Is that what the streets want? Is that what the fans are wanting?
Well, this is what I want, so I don't know for anyone else.
Closest.
I think because you have like a very kind of like a soft, like mellow sort of voice, and I can hear like a deep house sort of very moody atmospheric sort of house beat, and I can just imagine you like spit like a 16 bar or something, and then like I don't know, just like a vibey little thing.
You know, I probably have to look into it, and because it's the same way how, like, when it comes to the music, like, obviously when I look at like behind the scenes, looking at analytics, I know what sound from me personally people want to hear, and it, like, people. I was having a conversation with people the other day where it's like, as soon as you make a tune on like a hype beat with some double time flows, people who don't usually pay attention to your music, who know you'll be like, yo, this one's hard. It is thinking, yeah, this is hard, but I don't make these tunes all the time because I don't find it challenging, if that makes sense. Like, not to say like it's easy to make, or anybody who does make that sound is easy, but for me personally, it's like, I feel like on a more hype tune, there's more freedom to just talk whatever talk in it, so I feel like it's easy to flow, whereas on the sound you're more referring to, it's more of like it's been more personal, so sometimes it can be a bit slug writing it, to be fair, be a bit exhaustive. Like, sometimes I spend like 6 months writing a verse, I got producers like, oh, he's still making this tune, I'm like, yo, it's coming, you know, it's coming. Like, I'm thinking, just trying to write it up, but
you need that time though, for sure.
yeah, I don't know, I try to, sound wise, I try to mix it to a degree, just to kind of reflect the different aspects of my personality in it. Like, I don't just I'm not just some backpack hip hop fan in it who just sits in my room listening to flipping like old Doom tapes and that, like, rest in peace. But flipping, yeah, my personality is kind of here and there in it, so I try to reflect that in the music, like sonically how it sounds and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Firstly, what's actually coming up for Franklin Armstrong that you can reveal?
Definitely another single coming soon, and then after the single, we're gonna put out another. Yeah, actually, we'll be EP. Yeah, put out another EP. So that should be good. Hopefully, try to put some more videos out. Maddest thing is, I had a concept for the Windows video. I shot it and everything and that. I just needed to put it onto my computer just to edit it, see what it's saying and that. In true fashion, the memory card has gone missing, so if you're waiting on visuals for that, it either won't come or it's gonna be a while. But yeah, just more music in it, more music to come. Single, EP. They're the next two things that concrete coming out in it.
Cool. Yeah. Would you do a physical release at all for like maybe an album or a bigger project?
At some point, that's always a conversation, and but it's always just about it being the right thing to do with. Yeah. In terms of physical, there's an idea floating at the minute, but I don't want to say it in case it don't happen, because I've definitely said in interviews before, got this coming, never comes out. So it's better I'll just be like, it's on the cards, and it's being spoken about.
Actually, where did the name Franklin Armstrong come from?
I
don't know if you've been asked it before.
Yeah. So, you ever heard of a cartoon called Peanuts? Snoopy, Charlie Brown. Well, there's a character in that called Franklin, who's basically like, well, he's basically the only black character in the strip, innit? And I remember, like, trust me, I fill my head with so much irrelevant popular culture shit, and that's part of it, innit? And it was just like, I remember seeing there was a picture from one of the comic strips of Peanuts, and it was kind of like, it was all the kids from Peanuts sitting around a table, well, they're sitting on like a long dining table, and you've got all the kids kind of sitting in a circle on one side, but then Franklin was kind of on the one side table by himself. And obviously, looking at the makeup of the group, I looked at him and was just like, I remember just looking at the picture thinking, I feel that in my fucking chest. And like, in terms of identity and where I've grown up and what I've seen and what I've been through, like, I just felt like I identify with that. And then did a bit more research. Obviously in the cartoon and in the comics, his name's just Franklin, but there's like a unofficial surname which was Armstrong, so I just kind of adopted that mantle, and then that just became the persona that I wanted to just to tell stories from, whether it's my personal stories or somebody else's stories, and kind of just giving you a little journey or something like that.
Who do you want to shout out? I know we've mentioned quite a lot of names already, but any people in particular?
Of course, shout out Dylan, shout out Gruff, shout out Mars, shout out Yassi, shout out Gumso, shout out Typo, shout out Phil. I gotta get them in.
Of course.
Shout out Decent, shout out Hemipod, shout out Hannah, shout out Jaden, Clover, if I haven't already said, shout out Jade lately, Shout out to everyone in Birmingham, innit? Like, if I've forgotten your name personally, yeah, no, it's not a person, it weren't done on purpose, innit? But yeah, just shout out to everyone in Birmingham who's trying to support the movement, innit, and can see the vision of what people are trying to accomplish, and kind of taking things to the next step. Obviously, it don't happen overnight, but if we keep going, we'll get somewhere, because I believe that the talent is here. Like, I believe gold mine of talent's here, so just about unearthing it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's been it. So you guys have been blessed with an outro this time, because the past 2 times I've not done an outro at all. So thank you for very much for like watching and supporting the thing. If you have any thoughts on what's been discussed, please leave them in the comments or DM the page, and we'll have a chat about the Birmingham scene or just music, anything music related would be great.
PS. Shout out Progress Birmingham, innit? I gotta big you up, innit? I gotta big you up. I see you in it. Like, putting in proper work, and sorry to mess the outro, but it's refreshing to see someone who's reporting on the scene, and it actually seems like you actually care in it, and you're actually taking the time to do your actual research in it, and genuinely it's appreciated in it, because when I talk about infrastructure, that's always part of it in it. So big up to you in it. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's not your intro. Outro, sorry.
On that note, we'll see you guys next month for another artist interview. But if you enjoyed what we discussed, leave a like or don't. Doesn't matter. And yeah, in a bit. Cool. Nice. That went really well. I hope this actually recorded all my stuff. I have no idea.